There you
Oh,
are.
sorry, guys.
That's cool. You're in rural
This
Wisconsin. What do we
Wisconsin
expect?
internet is something else. Shoot. Anyways,
If you want to.
Welcome to the Honest Jams Songwriting Podcast, where two friends pledge their allegiance to writing a new song based on a prompt each week.
And we've remained loyal ever
Remain
since.
loyal the entire time. Yeah.
I'm
A-
Walker, by the way.
I'm Eyal. And yeah, our prompt this week is loyalty. And with us today, we have a wonderful songwriting craftsman, guitar plucking wizard, Jacob Miller. How's it going, Jacob?
hello.
I like your
Wonderful. Thank you
Flowery-
guys so much for having me.
yeah, I like your
Thanks.
flowery backdrop.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It is not my doing. I am in Wisconsin staying with family, so
Okay.
I can't take credit for this decor.
Are you permanently residing out there, whatever that means for these times?
Not really.
Mhm.
I float around so often, but Portland's home base. So I was originally out here to do a month-long tour, but with COVID, I've just decided to use it as an opportunity to kind of visit some family and my sister who I hadn't seen in quite a while.
Nice. What is
Yeah,
what is the town
It's been
like?
lovely. It's called Fond du Lac.
Fond du Lac.
Yeah, it is foot of the lake,
Uh-huh.
Lake Winnebago. It is not incredibly exciting.
That's kind of nice though.
Yeah. I have done almost nothing since I've been here for the last 2 weeks, and it's been really, really wonderful.
Yeah. Is that
Like I've been doing things, but I've been very isolated in my little space. So
is that where you grew up?
this is where I grew up. I grew up in a really small town, Eden, which is like 10 minutes down the highway. So
Okay. How did you start playing music there?
I grew up in a Catholic church, which comes with its own baggage. But I sang in the choir when I was a kid for a while, and then kind of picked up different instruments throughout high school. So
Mhm. Where have you always just felt musical?
I think I've always just been drawn to like the emotive action and practice of music and performing, or just maybe not for anyone else, but just yourself. It's like the practice of it is very like therapeutic for me, I think.
Did songwriting start early also, or was it just kind of like you were building a skill early on?
I think it was like that classic 12-year-old picks up a guitar and wants to play all the hits right away, where like I think I took guitar lessons for a year maybe, but I learned no music theory and nothing about the actual instrument. It was like, hey, I want to play this song
Yeah.
that rocks because I heard it on the radio, because
Yeah.
that was the thing 12-year-olds said back then. But it wasn't until later, maybe a couple of years later, that I started exploring songwriting and what that was to me.
What drew you to that?
I think just an avenue of expression when I didn't really have another one. Like I didn't have something that felt like mine that was like I could kind of retreat into and use to process things and just emote, I think.
What were you wanting to process?
That's not a big
being
question or anything.
Being an awkward teenager, I think, is probably like the number one
Uh-huh.
thing at that time,
Yeah.
because everything the end of the world when you're 13.
Yeah.
So
You were just exploring it on your own during that time?
yeah, I was in bands throughout high school, like all sorts of stuff, ranging from like alternative rock and covers to like metal and all sorts of things. It was fun. I did some different band leading, as well as like sitting in with other people's groups, and it was never like really serious, but it was always just, I guess, the thing that my personality most attached to in my adolescent years.
Did the bands have names? I always
Oh,
love
yeah.
hearing people's high school band names.
Yeah, I think you guys will enjoy this. So the first band I was ever in, it was called McPhail's Headache,
Wow.
which is a very weird name.
Yeah. Inside
It's
joke.
got 13-year-old written all over it. But but the neighbor whose house we practiced next door to, their last name was the McPhails, and they used to call the cops on us for being too loud. And we're
Wow.
like, oh, we'll stick it to them. And hence the name.
Did they ever get in on the joke?
You know, I actually met them face to face, but I hope they know. A deep part of me hopes they know.
So at that age, it was just kind of like getting out emotion, like you weren't pursuing music as kind of like a thing.
I don't know if it actually was this way or if it just feels like it looking back on it now. But I think when you're in high school, it's so like hobby oriented or like I don't know, like the sports jocks and the people there's and music and the theater kids, and I was like a nerdy theater kid. So I think music was just always something I really found reprieve with.
Did you
Or
do
in-
musical theater also?
Oh yeah. Did you do any theater?
A little bit of theater, but mostly playing like in pit orchestras and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I was
That
doing a lot of
sounds
like
fun.
classical music. I played like a lot of bassoon in high school. You know, there's only 3 bassoon players around, you know, so.
But you were in a
You got the
teen,
gig.
You were in a teen improv.
Oh, yeah, I was
partly
also in-
improv based.
Yeah, I was in a teen theater group for, it was run through Planned Parenthood. And so we'd go to like all these different middle schools and high schools and like educate kids about like sexuality and, you know, that it's okay to like have these like changing bodies and shit like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
What a great program.
The advantage of
Wow.
growing up somewhere like Ashland, Oregon.
Did you do any theater?
I
Walker?
didn't really do much theater. I did see Duct Tape Theater
Mm-hmm.
though that Ayal was in when you weren't in it.
Right.
But it impacted me. I still remember some of the sketches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like a
Wow.
teenage girl who was being teased by her father for wanting to eat her birthday cake because she was chubby or something, and that one just like stayed with me. It was so sad. It was like,
Wow.
no, it's her birthday, and anyway, she should have cake anytime she wants.
Yeah.
So
Well, it seems like it
Impactful.
worked. Stuck
Yeah.
with you.
Oh, so you mostly did theater was kind of like how you identified though in high school?
I went to a private Catholic high school. It was like 300 kids, and it was so like isolated, and people wore their jerseys on like game days. Football was so big
Yeah.
at this school, and I just detested every part of it. And like literally, I think I was the only guy in my entire grade that didn't wear a jersey on game days.
Wow.
Like it was crazy.
yeah.
So I think I almost used that to kind of anchor who I was.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like it was everything I was about, but when I was at that school, it was a way to identify the things that I enjoyed, and like the arts, I guess, was one of them. And
Yeah.
at that point, I had started playing a lot of acoustic guitar, and I was just like like a sad boy, basically.
Yeah. So then when did you start kind of like feeling like music was the thing that you wanted to pursue the most? Or is it that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really wasn't until I was like 19 or 20 and I had moved out to Portland. I didn't move out there to like pursue music full time. That wasn't really the plan. It was more just kind of a way to get out of the state and live somewhere new and meet new people and kind of explore things. And then I did a bit of traveling, and just throughout the traveling, I learned a lot about American folk music, and I love to play and I love to meet people on the road and play with them and do busking and stuff. And it just kind of became the largest part of my life. Like it just snowballed. And
What do you mean you learned a lot about folk music? Like did you go study with people or?
yeah, I did this cool. Are you guys familiar with woofing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's worldwide opportunities for organic farmers. And when I moved to Portland, I moved into this house share with a bunch of like bohemian hitchhiker types.
Mhm.
And
Didn't we all?
Portland, intro. It was a true Portland upbringing when
Yeah.
I first moved there. Yeah, all of them had done farming through the woofing program and said it was a great way to travel on the cheap. And I was getting really into Appalachian folk music from the 30s and 40s, like old family country bands and stuff,
Mhm.
and Doc Watson and fingerpicking blues and all this old stuff. And so I decided to go to North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains to work on this farm. And I traveled for like a year and a half around the States and did that all, kind of in a couple different places. And I got to meet and play with some old timers and kind of learn a little bit more about the regional music when I was
Mhm.
doing that.
Wow.
which was really cool.
What kind of stuff were you learning? Like style,
Really,
technique,
like,
or?
yeah, like I only like when I was in North Carolina, I got to go to a couple like bluegrass jams, which I'm not a huge bluegrass guy, but all of those old timers are just like, you never want to be I never want to be the best player in the room. And so when I can like learn
Yeah.
from those guys that are so like, steeped in that music and the culture and everything, it really excited me. And I was only 21 at the time, I think. So I was like so excited about it all. And but more than playing with other people, it was like listening to the old records
Hmm.
in the places they were either written or recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Like I listened to a lot of Mississippi John Hurt when I was in the Blue Ridge Mountain area, and it just felt like a deeper connection to the music, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like the vibe of the landscape gets in you.
Yeah. It's like you kind of try to just immerse yourself in it, and that's I guess what I was trying to do at the time.
Hmm. Were you then like attempting to emulate those things? Were you like trying to be like specifically like playing like those people, or?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think instead of like learning from them and kind of like utilizing it and making my own style, I was so excited about that music that I just wanted to play that music. So it
Mhm.
wasn't until quite a bit later that I feel like I was writing my own songs at the time, but I think I was just so trying to emulate this old world
Yeah.
of music that it's amazing and I love it and it's still like I have such a fondness in my heart for that music, but like I can't play that music.
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not
and
it's not mine. I can enjoy it,
right.
but it's not like mine to emulate.
I feel like a lot of comedians will talk about this thing where it's like when you're younger, that's a lot of what you're doing is you're kind of like looking at somebody that you admire and then kind of like channeling them through yourself or something like that. And I think over time you start to just kind of like, instead of imitating them, the parts that resonate with you stick, and then everything else about them kind of falls away and you end up with like your voice
Yeah.
slightly tinged by what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for, really.
Yeah, a glimmer of yourself coming through.
Yeah, well, it like kind of like reinstills like the best parts of you. Like if you
Mhm.
can, like glean from other people and like take some of the attributes or values that they enjoy or hold true to themselves, and that works for you. And it's like a hodgepodge. It's like a gumbo of
Mhm.
personality.
Yeah. Okay, so then you took that stuff and came back to Portland, that all that musical knowledge? I think the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time I saw you play was it was actually the last show with your band.
yeah. The Bridge City
Yeah,
Crooners.
right.
Yeah.
Was that kind of like the first project that you got going?
Yeah, that band, I came back from I think I went to North Carolina and then Wisconsin and farmed in Arizona as well, and then came back to Oregon for, I think, just a summer, and then did this like trek around the states and up to Alaska with my old roommate Lauren that was in the first house that I lived in Portland. We did this around the whole North America kind of thing. It was really, really fun
Nice.
and dirty and too long. It was good to get home afterwards.
Mhm.
But when we finally got back, I started the Crooners, which was kind of just like a backyard. Hey, we all enjoy this old music. Let's open the bottle of whiskey and just sit in the backyard for 6 hours and play kind of thing. It was very casual, very, very fun. And then we did that for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And throughout that process, it evolved to like a horn section, and we did like early rock music, and it kind of like almost evolved with my personal tastes at the time, where it was like 1910s jug band music and country blues and this really old like pre-war recorded stuff, all the way to like swing jazz of the 30s, and then we did some early rock stuff before we were done. And that was this is kind of like this 20s to 50s
Right.
span of like American music kind of style, I
And
guess.
very consciously like attempting to like hit that style.
I think it was like kind of like we were talking about earlier, like in the beginning trying to imitate these things that we all loved because there was no pressure behind it. Like we weren't playing shows, we were playing on the sidewalk to, at last Thursday and stuff like that. So it was like super, low key, but yeah, it just kind of evolved into this thing. And I think we eventually kind of near the last couple of years found more of a unique creating interesting musical arrangements to old traditional songs, and then we played a lot of original music that I had written as well.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
when did you decide that you kind of wanted to move on from that project?
I think it was in like mid to late 2017. I think it was like of my own doing where I felt like very boxed in by the music that I was playing with the band, where it was like so fun. And like it was 6 of my best friends and we'd tour all the time. And it was just, like a great time. Like we had so much fun together and would write and stuff. But the music itself felt hollow to me, because though the music itself was really like fun and energetic, and the musicality of it was very high. Like all the players in the band were really amazing musicians. But I just like lyrically and the subject of what we were singing about, it felt like doing the same thing every night. And it just really wasn't emotionally satisfying for me as a writer, I guess. And so
like you felt like you were putting on an act kind of.
Yeah. It was like I have become a caricature of myself and the things that I enjoy, which like that was a very tough pill to swallow after doing that for 7 years. Because it's, as I said, it like evolved into becoming this thing, and then you get to the end of the road or, wherever you're at, and it's like, this is really great, but like, I can do better than this, or I want to do something different than this. That's maybe, better in a different way, or
more authentic.
Yeah, I think more authentic. And then, so later at the end of that year, we split up, and I've been doing just kind of like solo singer-songwriter stuff since then. So
what drives your kind of musical creation now?
Yeah, I mean, like the range of human emotion, like love and heartbreak and learning and loss and all this stuff. I have a really hard time writing happy songs, I will say. I write a lot of sad love songs, but I enjoy it, so it's not, I'm not as sad as I actually sound, I think, when I'm being recorded. But I don't know, it's been such a great evolution since the group, because I loved leading that band, but like to just go back to complete basics of being alone and writing, where all it is a guitar. I feel like this just storytelling has to be way more captivating. Like you don't have the bells and whistles of this huge, production and everyone's dancing and stuff. It's like people are sitting and listening to like the content of your story and the evolution of it, and just how you're phrasing things. And I think it's really easy to be cliche too. And so like lyrically at least, and I guess musically too, it's easy to, play things people like to hear. So it's like been a really great challenge for me to like just trying to improve on lyrically writing and composition and musical writing as well.
Yeah.
It's been a really wonderful and learning and humbling 3 years doing it.
Are there things that you find that help like kind of push you to keep not doing the same thing over and over again?
I think knowing when to put the pen down and like when to actually write. Like, do you guys know Trey Burt? He's a musician. He used to be, he's out of Sacramento, I think. Really, really nice guy. But I was listening to this, I think it was actually a podcast where he was talking and saying like, oh, when I write, I'll sit down and pick up the guitar and play and write when my muse comes to me, or like when I get an idea, but I'm not going to sit facing a wall and just try to write a song. And I've done that so many times where you're like, no, you're sitting down today and you're gonna write something, even if it's terrible.
We made a podcast around it.
Yeah, that's every week around here.
To piggyback off of that idea, the prompt that you guys gave me, a fantastic exercise for me to just explore first like the subject of the prompt, but then also like what it meant to me, and trying again not to be too cliche. And I don't know, it's fun. I love songwriting so much. Again, it's so humbling because I like my favorite songwriters are like Townes Van Zandt and Paul Simon and like the great American songwriters, and they can write things in a way like convey an idea that you can completely relate to and understand, but in a way that you've never heard it before. And that's how I want to write my songs.
Like sometimes just the combination of words that you don't even know what the words mean together somehow means something to you.
But it just hits home hard, and it's like, wow, that was good. There's nothing quite like that.
Well, we're excited to get into what you wrote this week, but before we do this little segment called 3 Things. 3 Things. So, in this segment, Jacob, we talk about 3 things related to the topic, and we decided we would do 3 things that we've been loyal to during the pandemic.
Yeah. What's your first?
I like
my first. Okay, so I've been really into, I would say, loyal to my dreams over all of this. Like, I
Ooh.
feel like my inner world has been so, you must deal with me, you know, like during this time.
Yes.
And so I've just really kind of like gone deep into it, dream journaling every morning, really kind of like exploring imagery and ideas, and just like paying attention to what's going on in there, out there.
Yeah.
Wherever,
wonderful.
wherever it is, yeah. The most confounding image I've had so far in this process was there was this like classic like African savanna sunset, and there was like this giant tree, but it was actually just like a giant broccoli, and there was a rhinoceros with a horn just stuck in the broccoli.
Whoa.
Yeah, what is it?
Wow.
What does it mean?
I
It
feel
is.
like you need to explore this further in Photoshop. Maybe.
I agree.
don't
And
know.
you should also text it to me.
What's your first
Love it.
thing you've been loyal to?
My first one, okay, I've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, especially the Extinct Dances episode, but
Uh-huh.
we've been doing a thing with our roommates. We don't call it enforced fun, but essentially it's we dance every day. We each pick a song, and then if we don't feel like dancing that day, we wait till the next day, and then we have 6 songs to do because there's 3 of us. So
Oh, wow.
you know, and you're not always in the mood to dance, and you can start
Definitely not.
off with just like a weird attitude, just doing some weird movements, but by the end of it, I mean, we have laughed, like we belly laugh every time, just
Yeah.
because if somebody does a move that's particularly funny or weird, we'll all imitate each other, and it's just like it's enforced fun, and I recommend it.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. Wow.
What's your second?
My second one is I seem to have been extremely loyal to floundering the beginning of each day with aimless internet scrolling.
Bed it, man. Read it in bed every morning.
It's too much. But for whatever reason, loyal to the cause.
I didn't even count that one
Doom
because that was
scrolling.
like I've been this way since before the
Oh, yeah.
end times.
It didn't trigger anything.
My second one is also about enforcing
Uh-huh.
things. It's routines. I've been
Oh.
and this didn't happen right away when we were staying home because it was like, you know, I had a Europe tour booked and I had all this stuff in the works, and it was like, maybe we're going to make, you know, at first we all thought we were going to go back to some of our gigs in a limited capacity at least, but partway through I decided to just like, this is the new normal. This is what we're doing. So I'm going to do yoga every day, already dancing every day. I'm going to have actual work hours in my recording studio, so I don't just kind of wander down, you know, so I don't end up working on a song only when I like go flip the laundry and am intrigued by the room. So yeah, just working every day.
Nice.
I'm in the middle of a 60-day song challenge right now.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it amounts to 49 songs within 2 months. I just did the math today. This is going on for another 18 days. So if I finish 1.5 songs every day, I'll make it. So we'll see
Wow.
about that.
I believe in you.
What's your third one?
Well, because we've been like very isolated here. You've been to our house. There's a compound here, and we had a couple more people move in, so it's been very like co-op vibes around here, which means that we eat dinner every night today, and I would say that I've been very loyal to your cooking.
Oh,
Because Walker cooks every day, huge, giant, elaborate meals.
yeah.
And-
I was doing food delivery before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now all that energy is just going into cooking. It's harvest time right now. So
Yeah.
the garden's just going
Blowing up.
crazy, and we're just building meals around whatever we can get out of the garden.
So much squash.
Yeah.
I
My
bet
my
your
third
roommates are so happy.
They're
So happy.
very happy.
Yeah.
So my third one's food related too.
Oh.
It is dedication to the idea that you should spiralize as many foods as possible. I bought this spiralizer, and it's kind of a jankety one.
What is it?
It's
I
like
don't know
this
what that is.
plastic device that you can put zucchini through it and spin it, and it turns
Zoodles?
it
You ever
into
heard of
like
a zoodle?
spiralized.
Oh.
So yeah, you can make zucchini zoodles, or you can make butternut squash squashta.
Zoodles.
But yeah, we've been just taking everything from the garden and turning it into spirals.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want pictures of that too. Can you guys send me pictures of that?
Absolutely.
I want pictures of your zoodles.
So those are the 3 things. Let's get into some songs.
Yeah.
What did you make this week? What did you make this week? Tell us all about it, tell us all about it, tell us all about it, tell us all about it.
right, Jacob. You want to go first?
Sure, why not?
Awesome.
Yes, we love it when the guests go first.
I do want to preface this
Yes.
by saying I did this all on GarageBand,
Uh-huh.
and I have like this MIDI controller, and I did like drums with it,
Amazing.
and so it's like very much a new demoing style. I've never really done that before, but I was
Cool.
having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah,
so.
nice. Anything else you want us to know about the song before we hear it?
No, we can just listen to it.
Cool. Does it have a name?
Just loyalty.
Awesome.
Loyalty. What does it mean to me to just be by your side when you need a friend? To hear your words and try my best to comprehend. Constancy, no acts of treachery. I'm learning as I go. Lesson in loyalty. I will try my best to be right outside your door. If I hear your voice calling out my name, I'm learning about unconditional love. You've done the same for me. Humility, truth and sincerity. I'm learning how to hold these lessons in loyalty. Learning how to hold these lessons in loyalty.
Lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. So
Thank
good.
you guys.
I love that. There's an interesting thing with loyalty where it's like that unconditional love kind of part of it that you talk about a little bit, where it's like when you give it, you have to be willing to have the other person do whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah, initially when I started writing the song, I was like, "Oh, cool. What does that actually, mean to me?"
Mhm.
Like, that's the first line of the song. But I think there's, being loyal and that being by someone's side and being dependable. But there are like so many other tree branches that come off of that, that shifts with the kind of relationship, whether that's like a romantic partnership or a friendship or a family member.
Is this a common way for you to kind of like unpack a song, starting with like a concept and then trying to kind of drill down on it like that?
I think so, yeah. It was very much kind of exploring, I guess, and it just from top to bottom, kind of how I wrote it out.
Mm-hmm. What did you start with?
I started with that line, loyalty, what does it mean to me? And I was like, what does it mean to me? And I just started kind of going with it, and yeah.
Like just
so-
writing words or words with music?
More like sentiments and like those key words, because it's like, well, loyalty, just kind of like I said, like being dependable or being, reliable, but all these other things that kind of come with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was more referring to it in like some kind of like really loving relationship where it's like, well, I understand that loyalty, like by definition, what it means, but I'm constantly learning what it actually means because there's all these other expectations that grow around that word.
Yeah.
That's,
Boundaries.
specific to a relationship, I think.
Mm-hmm. So how did the music element get introduced into the song?
I've been practicing a lot of piano since I've been in Wisconsin, which I'm really not a good piano player at all. I'm quite bad. And I was like, I'm gonna write this song on piano because it's a great challenge to myself.
Nice.
And that was kind of just how it unraveled, I guess.
So you wrote out like a chord progression?
Yeah, just like a 1 to 1/7 kind of thing. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song "Tenderness" by Paul Simon. It's on There Goes Ryman Simon, his second record.
Okay.
It's like such a beautiful, beautiful song, and the kind of premise of it, I kind of borrowed from that a little bit.
You can say still.
But it's a great song. Yeah, and it's very like, at its base, very simple, but there's all these complexities that kind of swirl around this like basic idea, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with this tune.
Did you have all the words written out and then you kind of like put them to that chord progression?
No, I like wrote the chord progression with the first line, and then with like had a melody I was humming, and then I'd finish it, and then I did the key change thing, and I hadn't really no idea how I was going to get back to the original key, so that took like half an hour of deciphering. Okay, I'll move here, and then it will go back to that E. So
Do you think about it in theory terms, or do you use your ear for that? How do you kind of...
a little bit of both. I think I rely on my ears more than theory. Like leading that jazz group for quite a long time, like educated me in ways that I was not before. So I think I've got like some basic concepts that help me figure out movements. But like, again, like we were talking about earlier, I guess I strive to try to be a little more unconventional with some of the like chordal movements. And so for that one, it was really more of a guessing game than anything else. So.
Yeah. For me, that's an amazing way to break some of those habits, is when I kind of, because if you think about chords so much, you can really just like engage your analytical mind way too much to be making like decisions around feeling,
Yeah, it takes something away from that kind of, or I think it can. It like sets these boundaries or like parameters that you have to live by, and that can be a little
because
suffocating.
Every note can be an extension of any chord, so it's like there's no reason to like limit. Rather, you can just sit there and like do trial and error and see if it kind of like feels good to your ear versus like just deciding that a certain note has to fit with a certain other note or something like that.
Yeah, I tend to trust my ears more than like things I am told to do. My roommate Charlie is a really just incredible trumpet player. He's like won a Grammy. Like he's just an incredible composer, musician, and he always tells me, he's like, stop learning so much on that piano because, or like I'll like ask him to explain like an idea to me or a movement or something, and he's like, I'll explain it to you, but don't think about it too much because just trust yourself kind of thing. Is like, you're gonna box yourself a little bit. I don't know if that's necessarily true, or maybe he just doesn't want to explain so much stuff to me.
But I feel like it does take, I don't know, I'm a little like, I'm really hesitant to learn. Piano was my first instrument, and I'm really hesitant to learn even the notes of the guitar for some reason, because it's what I was saying, it kind of like engages a certain part of your brain that is just not, it's not the part that I like to use when I'm writing on guitar.
I think it can lead you to overthinking when more often than not that maybe isn't as productive as you want it to be.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear you guys' songs.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I'll go next.
Okay. Second, I guess, is actually the number.
Second. It's called Kill the Ghost.
Kill the Ghost.
So loyalty, when we came up with this prompt, I mean, the first thing you think of in terms of songs, popular music, is like being loyal to a person in a relationship. There's also being loyal to yourself. And there are many selves. There are many different selves within us. And this is to myself that quit drinking 2.5 years ago.
Oh.
And I'm trying to kill the ghost in the song is these false ideas that I've been brainwashed into thinking just from culture, which is that drinking will make things more fun, it will make you more brave, it'll make you more creative. All these things I've proven to myself time and time again that this is not the case. So I don't spend that much time even thinking about it anymore, but it does come up occasionally.
Like the cultural programming is still there.
A little bit, or I'll just think for a second, like I'll just think about a cocktail in the yard or something. But I don't know, So that's what this song is about, and it's about just remaining loyal to that better self.
Cool.
Daunting task, which in the stack of scripts gets the treatment. When you know there is no cure. The differences are pronounced on arrival, but you kill the ghost daily to be sure.
I don't care what replaces the voice of admonishment. Du jour. Can we at least get high on promises?
You wake into the body of a stranger. Each sensation writ a different name. Cut off the tips of your regrets before they have the chance to blossom. Ambition's no longer a wishing game.
I don't care what replaces the voice of admonishment. Du jour. Truly get high on promises.
I left it unresolved to
Lovely.
represent the unresolved nature of the subject matter.
Life is pretty
Thank you.
unresolved.
Yes.
Spoken word, huh?
Spoken word. Another thing I've been doing is just trying to experiment vocally. The big harmonies on the chorus, that's like my thing, so that's very comfortable territory. But the spoken part,
So like William Shatner.
I had like, at first I had it just clean, just with this very mic I'm using now, the SM7, and no delay, no reverb, nothing. And I felt very brave doing that. But then I was like, maybe I'll just try some delay. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little more psychedelic and fun. But you were talking earlier, y'all, about emulating somebody who you admire and like just kind of channeling them through you. And I really love the Lou Reed album New York, and I actually don't know any of the other albums. I should probably check him out, but he has this cool guy talking thing that he does in it.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
to me it sounded like, without the effect on it, it was like they're gonna know that that's just a Lou Reed ripoff. But especially on there's a line where it's like, but you kill the ghost daily to be sure. Like he has this way of like, I'm asking something provocative, like his phrasing does
Absolutely.
Amazing. I love that.
I loved the talking.
Yeah.
Thank
or
you.
the I don't know. It felt like singing to me. It reminded me of Francos Hardy.
Oh, I don't know
Is that
that.
her
sure.
name? The French. She's like a French singer from the '60s. It's
Okay.
kind of like,
I've been listening to
Like
a
this-
lot of French 60s pop lately.
yeah.
actually,
It reminds me a lot of like some like French '60s pop. Like even the strumming pattern you had on the acoustic was like, you just like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been hitting a lot of cool loungy stuff like Sergio Mendes and stuff around here. So that's
Cool.
that's exactly what's been happening around here.
It's interesting what you said
love
about it, whether or not it's talking or singing. We've talked about that a lot with different vocal styles where it really isn't, there's no difference. You still have to have like breath control through the notes. You're still attempting to like hit certain pitches and like have certain inflection in your voice and stuff like that.
You have to hit that pitch which nonchalantly says, I don't care if I'm hitting a note and key. In fact, I'm trying not to.
Yeah, but this is specifically the one I've done 7 times.
I can't seem to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, when you're alone in your room and you're recording vocals, if you have to try like part with notes over and over, you're like, oh yeah, this isn't too weird. You know, your roommates will overhear. But when you're doing the talking thing and you're like, what kind of talking voice do I want to do? You feel very strange.
Especially if it's something
Yeah.
completely different than how you normally do things.
Yes. I haven't even reached like 2% of how weird I want to get with my vocals on this podcast, by the way. Like,
I mean, what's stopping you?
I need the perfect prompt
Weird,
Yeah, you
weird
got
voices.
18 and a
discover
half
my-
more songs.
to discover my inner like Cookie Monster, or, you know, there's these classic singing styles that I would like to explore.
Can you explain one line to
Sure.
me? It's kind of a weird thing to ask, but the getting high on promises, what do you mean by that?
I mean, when you're on a self-help kick,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if this is real. Some people say there's like an addictive personality or something. And I've noticed, you know, I quit drinking. Okay, I drink more black tea now. There's like, my brain has something in it
Well,
that's
everybody's
like
got habits.
habits, but also this little voice that's like, you need something right now. You know, that little thing. And you try to train it away from vices. You know, I mean, if it was like eating a baby carrot or something, like, fine, I'll eat it all day. It doesn't matter. Or you would get too much beta carotene.
Specific.
I don't know, but I tried to move it onto something else. Like, you know,
Something that feels
something
productive.
positive or productive,
Mhm.
right? So
But then you can become overly obsessed with being with that.
exactly. So yeah, it's kind of skirting the line of obsession.
Okay.
On that, get high on promises, and then it brings it back at the end. The truly elite get high on promises.
Like
It's
promises you make to yourself.
promises that you make to yourself.
Got it.
You're like I'm gonna be at 1,000 days since I've had an adult beverage
Yeah.
coming up next month.
Yeah.
So like I don't really care that much, but like
You
ooh,
care enough to
1,000
keep
days.
track of how many days it's been.
Yeah. Well, I did. I looked it up online because somebody else was talking about having 1,000 days, and I'm like, isn't that just like 2 years and some change? Like, I don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
it does keep me motivated a little bit to be like so hardcore on my own team. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's a
get high off
benchmark.
it. Hell yeah.
1,000 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
high. Yeah.
Ooh, what have we got from
want another-
AO
okay.
for loyalty?
So for me, I felt like this prompt was actually very timely. I feel like a lot of what's happening with society right now as it fragments is that people are like, wait, why have we been loyal to these institutions that don't seem to be serving everybody? So that's kind of how I approached it. I think I kind of went, the first verse is a little bit more about kind of like on a personal level, the way people interact with it. And then the second is kind of like a societal level. And yeah, that's about it. Don't want to over explain it too much. So here's the song. Come on, lover, put your heart up on the line again. What you got to gain by hiding your intention? Don't fake it. We've been wrestling with the boundaries of our time and space. Maybe all the ways that we're accustomed to aren't sacred. All the loyalties have faded away as the past and the future find the same game to play and show us all the mistakes we've made. Do you see the suffering out your window? Do you even care enough to change the way you live so we can find our way home? Do you have it in you to face the shadow of soul? Come on, General, put your heart up on the line for once. Look inside and see your shame. Don't fake it. We've been shifting all the boundaries while your arm me stays in place. Nothing about the way you build it up is sacred. All the loyalties have faded away as the past and the future find the same game to play and show us all the mistakes we've made. Do you see the suffering out your window? Do you even care enough to change the way you live so we can find our way home? Do you have it in you to face the shadow of soul? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you to face the shadow of soul? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in you? Do you have it in I don't know about that ending, but
I was just gonna say, nice sharp style turn at the end. I love that.
I know. I was.
it was gonna be this
that was
like
unexpected. I like it.
elaborate like dance club remix, and then I was just like, this is too much.
It's just a gentle hint of electronica.
Yeah, or like the darkness, the shadow of the soul.
That was great.
I thought there was like a
love how it
B
goes
section
there.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. Yeah, just
What can I?
Yeah.
Can I ask what you meant by the shadow of soul?
I think just the
Reality of disappointment or something from
Yeah.
the institutions?
and individuals, I think specifically, where it's like like I think a lot of the reasons things are so fucked up is because people aren't willing to really look at the dark side of themselves and attempt to heal those things, and so then those dark things get projected out into the world and onto people that are vulnerable. So it's kind of like a call for people to take responsibility for themselves and not do that shitty projection and fuck other people over because they're ashamed of themselves.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, end that cycle.
Yeah, and
Constant,
it's also
like generational energy too.
right, and we're doing it too. That's part of being a human. Is just like the constantly uncovering the layers of the self and like looking at the ways that we personally repress ourselves, and then like everything that you repress, then if you aren't acknowledging it, it's going to get reflected out into the relationships that you have, the people around you, or if you're in positions of power, then that'll get put onto that shit. And obviously we have a bunch of people in power that are awful to other humans.
I concur.
So hoping that is like that's what I was kind of saying about it being timely right now, is like it really does feel like there's like this crack in whatever's going on in culture, and that there are many opportunities to move forward with more healthy attitudes around those things. But the first step is kind of like acknowledging that those people are shitty. Those institutions are shitty. Like they don't work for most people. So that's
The idea of what you did with loyalty and just kind of the way that things are and people's like self-awareness or lack thereof, and just emotionally transcending past this incredibly dark period in American history or the world, but specifically.
And
Good
also,
job over
like,
here.
what do we have loyalty? Like in personal relationships, it works also where it's like sometimes you find yourself like really being attached to something that it just isn't serving you to be the person that you even want to be. And I think if most people really examine themselves, like there's a lot of things about most cultures that people live in that the cultures aren't really like serving to have, the majority of people live a life where they feel like they can like be themselves. And to me, like that's what being alive is about, you know, like, cause it's like you want,
Self-actualization.
yeah, you want to enable as many people as possible to kind of like learn how to be themselves as much as possible. And you have to do it in yourself in order to do that. You can't just, yeah. So that makes its way into
we're a
songs
real
a lot.
loyal crew. All of us. I heard a rumor, Jacob, that you might have a second
I heard this rumor too.
song to share with us.
But we don't have to play it.
Oh, we
It's
want
just
to play
some-
it.
Bonus
So
song?
I
Are
did
you
want to
kidding me?
thank you guys because as I don't remember if I mentioned it, but so I've been in Wisconsin for about 2 weeks, but I've had such a hard time writing lately. Like,
Ooh,
you know, when you try to write and you write the same half song over and over again,
yes.
like just this,
Yep.
like you try different approaches, but it just keeps coming up. It was really nice. So I kind of had started playing around with the loyalty song that we played earlier that I had
Uh-huh.
written, but I think I like finished recording that on Sunday. But on Saturday I like ran some errands and got back to the house and like just had this idea and wrote and recorded this whole song in like
Nice.
an afternoon, and it was like super empowering.
Amazing.
Yes.
Glad we could facilitate. Let's hear that song.
Cool. Yeah, it's called Dreamin', and it's about the opposite. It's about insomnia due to the chaotic nature of our world, as we were just talking about.
Yes.
Long are the nights I lie awake, desperate to drift into a dream. Sirens and lamplights cross the street to mine, break the silence of my trying to sleep. I haven't slept in days, and I'm dying to drift off for a while. Oh, DREAMING. I'm deprived of those precious seeds, but I still try. Oh, bit by bit I lose my sanity. The insomnia comes for free when I close my eyes. Oh, I mostly keep to myself these days. The world still turns, but it has changed. Did I mention it's burning like a chemical fire? Probably a reason I'm awake. I haven't slept in days, and I'm dying to drift off for a while. Oh, DREAMING. I'm deprived of those precious seeds, but I still try. Oh, bit by bit I lose my sanity. The insomnia comes for free when I close my eyes. Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. That's a fun one.
Yeah. A little bop. For some reason, at the very beginning of it, what popped into my head was there's this, you know, Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street.
Of course.
There's, I think it's like a song. Maybe I'm conflating a bunch of things, but I think there's a song where it's like Bert's trying to go to sleep and Ernie's singing like a song to like help him fall asleep, but it's like it just gets like super upbeat and there's like sheep dancing around the whole place and stuff like that. So just like this super chaotic situation, you know. But it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like I love stuff like that where it's like you get kind of like the opposite, like musically it kind of does the opposite of what you're kind of emoting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really fun. Like I said, I've written a lot of half songs recently that I just can't seem to really go very far with or make much progress with, and it's like one of those things with that tune, at least, where you just like pick up an instrument and it just kind of falls out of you. And it was just so fun to just spend an afternoon in the bedroom just
Yes.
writing it. And it was interesting too, because like I had just started playing with the drums on the MIDI controller,
Mhm.
which I really never do. And it just turned into this upbeat thing. It was funny because like the first verse is like kind of got this like Chet Baker-esque melody with like, it's, I don't know, some sixes and just notes that aren't exactly what you would expect. And then it goes into this like overtly pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
It
So
was really
good.
fun.
Yeah. Love it. Love your guitar playing
Thanks.
too.
Oh, thanks. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for letting me share it with you
Yeah.
guys.
Your guitar playing, whenever I've seen you play live, is like, well, you got the drummer you play with, Daniel Rossi, has the same thing where it's like, so there's like a looseness, to all of it, where it's just like, that's kind of my favorite whenever I see musicians that are just, it looks like they're not trying hard enough to like make the sounds that they're making, but it's because you're able to kind of like stay loose, that there's like a snap to the, it like adds a funk to the situation.
I'll try not to like think about that too much when I'm playing next.
Yeah.
Well, you mean loose like casual, not like sloppy. Or by any
No,
means.
like the like fluid motion kind of thing is what I'm talking about. Like, see,
Dan
like
is
how,
such a good drummer. So yeah, no, he's got this like,
spaghetti arms.
just this, there's this flowiness.
Yes,
to him.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing songs with us, being on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thanks for letting me do this. I have been such a poor email friend
Oh.
that I'm glad I finally got to do it. So thanks for having me on.
There are no standards in this
In these
time
times.
as far as getting back to people is concerned.
It's kind of weird how you end up prioritizing things during the pandemic, because
Yeah.
it's like I feel like I'm pretty on top of the ball when it comes to things. Like I'm about routine and love to make lists, and I'm really neurotic about that kind of stuff. But there are some things where it's, oh, this person texted me.
Yeah.
I'll get back to him in 3.5 weeks. And
Yeah.
it's like, why
I know.
do I subconsciously decide the okay thing to do?
Yeah. You even
Very
know you're
strange.
doing it in the moment when you're doing it, and you're like, I'm just
I
going to
think
set
I
this
make an
aside.
agreement with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, we have to pick a prompt for next week. Do you want to give us a prompt?
Oh,
I know. On the spot.
I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
What do you guys have? Some maybe pile ones, and I could see what I come up with.
I see
on
you
the
have some
spot.
stuff behind you. Do you have a book that you can open and find a word?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Okay.
Whatever
This is
floats your
Nick
boat.
Jonas' book.
Oh, that book's great. Have you
I
read
haven't read it yet.
Have you read his new book?
No.
Being a touring musician, I think you'd really like that one also. I mean, it's just a great
Awesome.
book.
Yeah. My friend, you guys have you guys been up to Dobe Resort up on
Yeah.
Orcas? Yeah.
Amazing.
Joe Brotherton. I did a residency up there a few weeks ago, and he gave this to me.
Nice.
So I haven't. The first word I see is Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Whoa.
All right.
Okay.
I can do Los Angeles. I know I'm not that familiar with Los Angeles in general, but
I could pick another word.
No. It's our fate.
Okay, cool. I feel like everyone has even if you haven't been, I feel like everyone has a relationship with the
Uh-huh.
idea of Los Angeles.
Totally.
Los
Los
Angeles
Angeles.
belongs to us all.
It does, that dirty, beautiful city.
I actually grew up on an island off the coast of
Mm.
Long Beach. So
Have you ever
Oh,
written a
really?
song about Catalina Island?
yes, my ska band in high school wrote a song about Catalina Island that sounded like it was like commissioned by the tourism industry or something. I was just very new at songwriting when I was in high school, so
Like, come to Catalina
I
Island.
honestly don't remember the lyrics or anything. There was something about how you drive around in golf carts because there were barely any cars there. Everyone just like has a golf cart as your family vehicle.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. What did you
It's a
play in your
weird
ska band, and what was the ska band called? If I
Oh.
can
I
ask?
yes.
sang in it and it was called The Fifth Business.
Ska was like the scene when
Yeah.
I was in high school. Like that, all the bands, ska bands. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would never.
Yeah,
I
we
was never
rode-
one personally.
We rode the ska style wave and then swing kind of came into
Mhm.
trendy popularity at the time. So we did ska and then
Oh.
swing. We also liked funk and rock and stuff. So it was fun. Big band, big high school band. We played in every room in our high school, like on the quad, in the auditorium, everywhere.
Amazing.
We would play in
That's-
bars. We play at the Ashland Creek Bar and Grill almost every weekend, and we couldn't sit inside or be inside when we weren't playing because it was 21 and up. So there's like one little booth outside, and they just crammed us all.
In a
We'd
booth?
Yeah,
Like
on the patio.
to eat, like where you eat?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we didn't play from there.
Oh,
But when we
got
weren't
it.
playing, we couldn't like just like sit near the stage. We had to like go outside in our one little bench seat.
You guys were working for it.
Yeah.
We were a working band for sure.
I do want to say thank you guys so much. This has been just such a treat for
course.
me, and I really appreciate you having me on.
You're welcome on any time.
Thanks for joining us. And it's nice to see your face because when
Oh,
I
yeah.
met you, you had a
Right.
mask
Yeah.
on.
Oh my
So
God, that's so
now
true.
It's nice.
Amazing.
So
Well,
it
it's
was
great
nice
to
to
see
find
both
out
of-
that you have a face.
a mouth. at
I
least.
do have a bottom
You knew you
half
had a
of my
face.
face. It's not just a void of pale.
Well, there's only one thing left to say.
We can bang on pots and pans.
And still kick out some honest jams.
Honest Jams podcast is written, recorded, and produced by Eyal Alvis and A. Walker Spring, and edited by me. Email us at honestjamspodcast@gmail.com. Special thanks to Victor Nash for mixing our theme. Special thanks to Oogie. And thank you for listening. We can't wait to hear what you make.